welcome to the Seriously Social podcast with your host, Simone Douglas. This episode's guest is Penny Reidy from Pick a Local, Pick SA. She and Simone discuss the importance of conscious purchasing, how to support local producers, and about their shared love of food.
Okay, so I'm joined today by Penny Reidy on the red chairs from Pick a Local, Pick SA. So Penny, maybe just to start off with, can you give us the Cliff Notes version of what you guys are all about? Because most people probably don't even understand that you're an organisation in and of yourselves.
Yeah, so Pick a Local, Pick SA is a marketing initiative that's funded by the SA Produce Market and the SA Chamber of Fruit and Vegetables. And our remit is to sell South Australian horticulture from the grower through to the retailer. So the more people that are purchasing from their independent fruit and vegetable store or supermarket, the more produce that is going through the South Australian produce market and the more demand on supply for locally sourced and grown produce. So we're all about, building awareness around people being a bit conscious of their buy, conscious of supporting local, buying local, and keeping that local horticultural industry alive and well, and keeping independent retailers up and running. And that's really important for so many different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I heard someone say something the other day about it's you're not just buying from a business, you're helping to feed a family. I think you said that actually. I have taken that and run with it. So and that's really what it's about. It's about putting those personal stories out, that when you pick up an apple off of the shelf, how does it get there, who does it support, and how is that a conscious buy for supporting local?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think there's been probably a closer focus on that in the face of COVID-19 and everything that's going on? I know for myself, I'm much more focused on who locally am I supporting and how.
Yeah, absolutely. I think COVID has, whilst, it's been terrible and it's a pandemic and there's been a lot of economic impact, devastating economic impact, it's actually been quite a positive opportunity for the independent retailers to really step up and show what difference they can offer, the service that they can provide, the quality of the produce that they've got coming through. So, these are retailers that are up at 2:00 in the morning at the markets picking fresh produce on a daily basis to get their stores stocked by 8:00 in the morning. So that, sometimes you might be putting a piece of lettuce on your salad that night on your plate that has been picked that morning. It's that fresh, and it's it's a less handling. And so COVID has really offered an opportunity for these independent retailers to really show those, additional things that they offer, the quality, the freshness, it's local, you're supporting a local family, they're family multi-generational businesses. Yeah. And people are really conscious of that. And as well, they're smaller stores, so you don't have to go into a big supermarket. I think a lot of people have really gone, I don't know that I want to go into a big supermarket and walk all those aisles. And we even had the opportunity that came when the big supermarkets stopped doing home deliveries all of a sudden. So I worked with, we've got 99 retailers that are part of Pick a Local, Pick SA. And so I worked with them, how are you COVID ready? What have you got that you can do to fill this gap? And it's those businesses that really stepped up and went, we can offer a click and collect service, or we can do a produce box that it's already packed, it's locally sourced, it's in season, it's ready for you to go. You just come in, grab it and take it. We even had retailers doing deliveries as well. When COVID first broke, I think I had about 18 of my 99 retailers doing deliveries. And we did a big push and a big campaign with them on getting ready for COVID and doing deliveries. And by the end of it, we had over 45 that were doing deliveries. So, and not easy for a small family-owned business to set up a website, have delivery staff. But the ones that did it and did it well, they employed people, So it was an absolute opportunity for them to do that. And whilst we haven't maintained the whole market share of that, they definitely have maintained some of it, and it's been a great opportunity.
With some of those businesses, the independent ones that you worked with that decided to pick up that model, so almost pivot, as much as I hate the word, but add additional service offerings or explore markets they might not have touched because they were very comfortable where they were. How many of them do you think are going to maintain that now that we're not seeing the same level of restrictions here in South Australia?
Yeah, it's definitely dropped off, and we knew that they wouldn't maintain that market share. But, even if they pick up 20%, it's 20% that they didn't have before. So, and we're even seeing, some of them have had that opportunity to showcase what they have to offer, and they've had customers from the other side of town that are still continuing to come back to them, or still continuing because they've seen that level of service. And let's be honest, for a small family owned business to set up a website, do pack an order, deliver it as well, they weren't making a lot of money off of that.
It's pretty small margins on
it wasn't something that they did to make massive amounts of money, but we're an essential service. And the other thing is as well, I think people are cooking a lot more during COVID. Absolutely. And they're a lot more health conscious. We want to be looking after ourselves, want to think about what we're putting into our bodies. And eating locally in season is a great way to look after your health and to be feeding your body. So there was that opportunity that came as well.
Well, and I think people discover, I was always brought up to share your wallet. My grandparents and my mum are very big on that. So it's always you go... you might go to the supermarket to get X, Y, and Z, but then you go to the greengrocer to get your fruit and veg. You go to the butcher to get your meat, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Don't give all of your wallet to this big supermarket or even to a medium-sized independent.
Yeah.
But one of the happy benefits of that is that you discover just how fresh produce is when you get it from a small independent retailer. Yeah. So, I always go to the one on, there's one on Kensington Road that's up at the top of Kensington Road, and they have fresh locally grown turmeric, and they have, fresh, it's not an artichoke, but it's like that. So all these different things that they've clearly sourced locally at the markets, it's really fresh. It holds up amazingly well too. So you don't get the same level of wastage as if you're going into a big supermarket and it's been there for I don't know how many days and been shipped from the other side of the country. So how do you help those independent retailers though cut through all the white noise and tell their story more effectively so that they grow that customer base? Because I think people do want to support those local retailers.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we have been focused on. We're a new team in the Pick a Local Pick SA campaign. I've been there just on 12 months, so new into the role, new into the industry. And that is one of the things that we're really focusing on, is telling those personal stories. And I think that's something that we have to hang our hat on, because let's be honest, I don't have the marketing budget of the big supermarkets and we can't compete with them. And a little bit similar to what you said, we've been running a campaign. We have, we're very fortunate to have brand ambassador Callum Hahn, the master chef. He's our brand ambassador, who's actually been the brand ambassador for 9 years. So the campaign's been running for 9 years. And one of the things we've been doing with him is running a radio commercial saying, just a $20 spend at your local fruit and veg store. So it's not about, we don't expect that you're going to take your whole big supermarket shop and move it into an independent, although the independents are diversifying and putting grocery lines in and putting butchers in and putting delis in and stuff like that. But it's about changing that behaviour of exactly that, sharing your wallet. Spend $20. Just try $20 a week at your fruit and veg store and see the difference, see the different range that you have access to, and see the quality of the produce and how long that's going to last with you. So so we definitely so by telling those personal stories, and we're doing a lot of video blogs on the people behind the scenes, who owns these stores, and telling those personal stories about who they are. And it's mum and dad working together, and you've got multi-generations in there, and getting people to see the personal side of a store. It's not just a business, it's a family that you're feeding.
Do you think that there's an opportunity for them to capture the stories of their customers? When you look at that, intergenerational type journey. So, for example, when I go into the local fruit and veg now, it's not me that runs around there picking everything. It's my 13-year-old, my 10-year-old. They know exactly what we buy. We are that person that took our entire fruit and veg shop to the fruit and veg store. So I walk out, often $250 later. But it's, I always look at it that it's money well spent
Yes.
for that reason. But how can they capture those stories? Because I think when customers see people who look like themselves, that triggers them to, then go on that journey.
That's a really good thought, and probably not one that we've looked at before. So I'll take that and see what we can do. I mean, we do like to share, customers are very passionate about their local store, and they are their biggest advocates and reshare those stories. And we have, started doing social media posts on those comments that we get from the customers and sharing them with other people and letting them see that. So there's definitely some social currency in kind of resharing testimonials and stories. And I think we have been focusing on that grower, wholesaler, retailer, but why not tell the customer stories as well? It's something I'll take on board. Thanks for that.
Oh, you're most welcome. So if I was someone that was, an end consumer, how do I identify that someone is an independent retailer?
Well, we have 99 stores in South Australia that have a Pick a Local, Pick SA sign in their stores. So look for the big red sign and you'll know that they're an independently owned store and that they're buying their produce through the SA produce market. They're sourcing locally wherever they can. Like obviously we still get produce that comes through the markets that comes from interstate, and that's just because different seasons or different climates or whatever, but they will always source locally first. So if you look for the sign and see a sign in a store, then you're supporting South Australia.
So I have actually driven out to the SA produce markets a long time ago because I was running some training out there for some of the vendors, and what time do those poor humans start work? Because it's really, I think people need to appreciate just what people go through for our food.
So the way it works is we have wholesalers, we also have direct growers that sell at the SA produce market as well. So they have their stores, their wholesale stores are ready for trade at 4 a.m. So the wholesalers are there 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, getting their stores ready for the retailers to come in, and the retailers will start buying. The bell rings at 4 a.m. every morning. So that's when the first wave of buyers will come through. You wouldn't think, for example, Clare, there's a store in Clare, the Corner Patch, and someone comes down from Clare 5 days a week.
Wow.
and does that drive and does that. So, and they know their customers, they know the range. They're also looking for what's new on the floor, and they shop like we shop. So your retailer goes to the wholesale market to shop for their store. And the ones that are there at 4 o'clock in the morning are the ones that are getting the best produce, and obviously they're getting the best price as well because they're there. So but by it's crazy, by 7 o'clock in the morning the wholesale market is pretty quiet. It's all done and dusted by 7 in the morning. So it's a whole world that happens that we don't even really think about.
It kind of makes it entertaining when you hear someone complaining that they have to start work at 8 a.m.
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure I could do it, but like you see, the other thing too is with the wholesalers, that's multi-generational as well, so they will have been doing that for generation after generation.
Absolutely. I mean, I think about for example, Shiravlos. We've got Ralph Shiravlo, who used to be at the old East End markets. We've been out at Paraka for 30 years, but before that it was the East End markets, and Ralph's a bit of an icon in at the SA produce market, and he's I wouldn't try to guess his age, but I would say he's in his 80s. And him with his son Tony are there every day in the morning, and you just can't keep him away, but it's in their blood. It's this is what I really love about being part of this community, is it's salt of the earth, really hard-working people that to be honest, these guys have, own Lot 100 and own all these other different businesses and are on boards and have got lots of other farming activities going on and everything. But they're there at 4 in the morning, 5-6 days a week, and that's what they love, and they wouldn't have it any other way, you know. So, there's one particular wholesaler at the markets who's a grower, a wholesaler, and a retailer. So,
I love it.
He's got his farm, he's wholesaling, and then he's got a gardeners market at Churchill Centre. So he's in there setting it up and closing it down at 6 o'clock at night, and he's been at the markets in the mornings, you know. So they're such hard workers, and the ethic that they have, that they put behind it is, amazing.
Well, I think that you raise a couple of interesting points in that. So I suppose number one is absolutely they're hard workers, but you can, the love that goes into the food when you're growing food and selling food, and even when we cook it at home, it's that whole story.
Yeah.
But also sometimes people make assumptions that these people are hard workers and not much else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't actually understand the science and everything else that goes into farming and goes into all of the other things that they do, and how many diverse business interests some of these people have.
Absolutely.
So I think sometimes it's great to capture those stories as well, because it unpacks, this preconception that we have about the economy here in South Australia and how it all works as well. So thanks very much for joining me on the Red Chair. It's been lovely to host you.
Thank you.
And we'll make sure that when we drop the podcast, we'll definitely link through if you've got a listing somewhere on the website that lists all the independent retailers. But thanks very much.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you for listening to the Seriously Social podcast. See our website for more details at www.socialmediaok.com.au/podcast. Check the show notes for credits, music used in the program, and more details about our guests.